In a persuasive conversation, we sometimes ask questions to move the conversation forward. Questions serve a few purposes, as we will see shortly. Precise and confident statements must be made at strategic points of a persuasive conversation. The statements will affirm your target audience and demonstrate our knowledge and credibility on the subject. These statements should also be made to direct the flow of the conversation to serve its purpose, which is to persuade. Nothing appeals more to the person we are communicating with than to express our interest in understanding them and their concern. Asking questions provide a way of seeking to understand your target audience more in order to more effectively persuade them. Here are some examples. Besides finding information, asking rhetorical questions, questions that do not necessarily require an immediate response, prompt thinking. Can you differentiate the intention of these questions? Which questions were asked to obtain information, and which ones were asked to prompt thinking? Prompting someone to think not only puts ideas in a person's heads, but encourages critical and reflective thinking. This means that the person you communicate with will benefit from the thinking process that results from conversing with you, and this process is a powerful step in directing or persuading the listener to critically consider what you have to suggest or propose. Nothing appeals more to the person we are communicating with than our interest to understand them and their concerns. Asking questions provides a way of seeking to understand your target audience more in order to more effectively persuade them. Besides finding information, asking rhetorical questions, questions that do not necessarily require an immediate response, prompt thinking. Can you differentiate the intention of these questions? Which questions were asked to obtain information, and which ones were asked to prompt thinking? Prompting someone to think not only puts ideas in a person's heads, but encourages critical and reflective thinking. This means that the person you communicate with will benefit from the thinking process that results from conversing with you. And this process is a powerful step in directing or persuading the listener to critically consider what you have to suggest or propose. How exactly does a question become a pivotal step in the persuasive conversation? It depends on how you build on the questions you've posed. Use the response to the questions. Point out the benefits and challenges that arise from the responses. Where it's appropriate, pitch your suggestion, idea, or solution. And remember, reinforce with reasons. Present a scenario of success. Motivate the listener to take specific action. If you listen carefully and actively, your target audience's response often opens up a good opportunity to frame the next part of your conversation, where you pitch a suggestion and highlight either benefits or challenges, which could be the negative outcome of rejecting your idea. Let's take a look now at Joan at her team meeting. We want to pay attention to the way she builds on her team members' response to her questions. Firstly, she points out the challenges they are facing, and she's able to quote Ling, her team member, for having made the observation. This is good because it suggests that there is consensus about the concern. This also helps to prepare her team members to listen to her suggestion. It frames the issue in the discussion. After listening to more responses and comments, she pitches the idea of inviting someone from the product development team to their meeting. She immediately shares the benefits and reinforces that with reasons and past practices. It's nice that Kim supports and reiterates with a positive response here. With the agreement clinched, Joan quickly moves on to motivate or delegate the team to take specific actions to put her suggestions in place. Let's recap. Developing the persuasive conversation requires us to use the questions to find information or prompt thinking, respond to the questions and pitch the idea or suggestion, point out the benefits, what's in it for me, rewards and consequences, reinforce with reasons, present a scenario of success, motivate listeners to take specific actions. Making statements that will affirm your listeners with confidence in your credibility is the next crucial step in effective persuasive communication. How do you present reasons with confidence? How do you describe scenario of success with conviction? What do you say to motivate your target listener to take actions? I would suggest that we use precise action words or verbs and describe using concrete examples and evidence in our persuasive conversations. Here's an example of a conversation between a client and his service provider. Let's consider whether the conversation is both affirming and persuasive. The first example of Gim commenting confidently about his product takes place here, immediately after the exchange of polite greetings between them. In the short introduction, Gim also expresses his understanding of his client's product. In the next two statements, which are packed with precise descriptions using technical jargon, clearly showcase Gim's knowledge about his products. The first statement on environmentalism is also a statement of conviction. He is speaking on behalf of his organization. Gim is clearly prepared to present his product using snazzy, clear and specific terms that will be appreciated by his target client. Then, he continues to dazzle and build his case with an elaborate description about his product. But note that he angles the content to focus on Ben's product and target consumers. By identifying and presenting persuasive information from the perspective of your target audience, you highlight the what's in it for me and make your product or ideas appealing to your target audience. Towards the end of the conversation, he provides more assuring information by giving the reasons for the cost difference. And of course, he closes the conversation by encouraging his client to take action. So, did Gim do a good job in persuading with confidence and conviction? Has he motivated his client to adopt his new line of packaging product? In the exchange between Ben and Gim, the increase in cost of production came up. This reminds us of the importance of providing clear and complete information in the process of persuasion. Why is this important? Providing clear and complete information presents us as a trustworthy and credible counterpart. We've discussed quite extensively about structuring the persuasive conversations using questions and statements in the scenario. Let's look at a point of cultural interest seen in the scenario. Remember how Gim commented on Ben's business in the conversation? It is a culturally positive comment to mention someone's business in the context of making polite small talk. This is because business at work equates being indispensable. Business at work also infers that one is enjoying success, especially if one is running a business. So, the next time someone comments about you being busy, acknowledge graciously because it is a culturally positive comment. So, we have looked at what developing the persuasive conversation entails. It requires us to use questions to find information or prompt thinking, respond to the questions and pitch an idea or suggestion, point out the benefits, what's in it for me, rewards and consequences, reinforce with reasons, present a scenario of success, motivate listeners to take specific action. In the process of the conversation, we should always use precise action words and describe using concrete examples. In this lesson, we have listed factors for pitching the persuasive conversation. We have expressed our understanding of the target listener's needs and wants through questions and statements. We've adopted a series of steps for developing persuasive conversations. In our second module, Make Effective Presentations, we will revisit the concepts of purpose, audience, and context in the communication process. I hope you're excited and looking forward to Module 2 as much as I do. I am Susan Lee. Thank you for learning with me on this first module, Communicating Influence in the Workplace. Goodbye and see you in Module 2.